Sarah, thank you so much for coming on. I know we have a lot to talk about.
Yeah, I'm super pleased to be here on Ballet Help Desk. Thank you again, Brett and Jenny.
Sure. So, what's going on at Indiana? I mean,
Yeah,
people
it's
are
been
like, there's hair on fire all over the place.
it's been exciting times for us. I will say that the outpouring of support that we've received from alumni, from parents, from friends, from stagers, from choreographers, who have reached out saying, "We will write letters, we will come and defend you," has been just absolutely incredible and so heart kindling to feel that support. There are a lot of programs at IU that would need that support and that fight. We are not one of them. Ballet at the Jacobs School of Music is a highly valued degree. We are successful, we are strong, we make majors who get jobs, and that's the bar that higher education is facing really right now, is like, can you make individuals who will get jobs, and our dancers do that. We are a program that will continue on at Indiana University. We do not have to panic. No one has to panic surrounding our ballet department right now. We have an exciting year ahead, incredible ballets. We have two successful degree programs. One has undergone scrutiny through the state for the number of graduates. We have a Bachelor's of Science in Ballet, beg your pardon, Bachelor's of Science with an outside field that is in music. So it falls under this larger degree of music at the Jacobs School of Music and yields these amazing numbers of graduates because of that number. All of the dancers that participate in that outside field program get to choose any major at Indiana University, this amazing R1 institution, and choose a secondary field of study. And what that does is provide you an off ramp to your career, gives you maybe a second job to supplement your income in that first job position you get straight out of graduating. Those BSOF majors will undergo no change. There's a second degree. All of these dancers take class with the BSOF dancers, the Bachelor's of Science in Ballet degree. We generally have a handful of majors, I would say two or three, that graduate with that degree. And when you put a graduating class of 15 as a mandatory requirement, that degree doesn't quite fit what the state has designed. We are looking at restructuring that program. It's largely been utilized by dancers who are pairing it with a second degree. Our entire administrative team knows that that process needs to be provided for. And that's where we're looking at how we can merge to make dance at Indiana University an even stronger entity. But all students will be provided for. And another thing I really need to say too is that no dancers currently enrolled or first year dancers coming in the fall are impacted by this at all. They get to join and proceed as if none of this restructuring of the second degree was happening. They can
So,
choose to be part of it if they wish, but they don't have to.
so can we back up a little bit?
Of
What
course.
what is happening with the like what's the mandate from the state? Like if we don't live in Indiana, like we haven't heard anything about this, but like I'd love to hear more about like what they're saying to the university overall and then kind of how it's impacting you and any future students looking at the ballet program.
Yeah, it's well, the mandate is 15 graduates per year for a degree program to maintain its status. And this happened through a change through the Indiana state government this past spring. And that mandate really, like I said, will not affect our program. The curriculum's staying the same, the performance venues, the performance content, everything that we're providing for our dancers is staying exactly the same.
Mhm.
The only thing it changes is, as I mentioned, that one degree program that under its description currently doesn't fit that graduating number. We're looking for how we can provide for students that don't want to get the Bachelor's of Science with an outside field for the future.
So what you're saying, if I understand you correctly, is that if you want to go to Indiana and only major in ballet, that might be a challenge going forward.
No, not at all. We're changing the current paradigm. The hope is that it'll either be a BS degree in dance or a BFA degree in dance. We're finalizing that process, and not everyone that's playing the planning game for that for our future at the Jacob School of Music has weighed in. So there's a little bit of a finalization process, but the hope is it will be a BFA in dance with different tracks or a BS degree in dance with different tracks. And we're working that out with our administration. But there is no story with this that ends with something is eliminated. Nothing is being eliminated. One thing has to change.
Are they means testing these majors? Like you mentioned something earlier about like our graduates get jobs. Is there some sort of means test that the state's putting into the university to where you have to prove that your graduates are getting jobs?
No, but I think all of this work with higher education, all of the scrutiny and self assessment of higher education is making sure that the value of the investment is genuine. And I think that's where all of these changes come from. You can assess them in different ways, but I think looking at oneself and making sure you're being effective is a really, really important thing that we should all be doing. Every college program should be doing that, and we are doing that as a part of this larger imposed scrutiny, but it's important. There is no metric. It's just my own like sort of values assessment of where this is coming from. There's nothing like a reporting system or a bar we have to hit, but I do think that's what the heart of this is like, are you an effective education program that prepares students for the future? And the answer for that for me is yes, but how can we be even better?
Right. So, can I ask you, will this change the number of students that you admit per year so then you can hit that quota?
Great question. No. As I mentioned before, largely with the BSOF, those numbers fall into numbers. I mean, it sounds so weird to talk about numbers in the arts. It kind of like really hurts my soul, but I feel like we all have to be prudent. The number of graduates that would participate in the BSOF fall under this larger umbrella that goes through the Jacob School of Music because it's a bachelor's of science in music ballet concentration with an outside field. And then the other group just needs to find an umbrella. And that's what the administration is committed to, is finding an umbrella for those BS students who are currently majors in just ballet, even though they're usually double majoring in something else as well. Number of students will say the same. Everything about the success of this program um, is staying the same. The incredible number of students we have. We had 75 majors at one point last year in our studios dancing together. That's high for us. A happier number is around 65, 63, and we are getting closer to that number next year. We intentionally really had a selective admissions process this past spring to yield a smaller incoming class. I do not foresee that for next year. All the numbers will be exactly the same as they've always been in previous years for next fall and ongoing into the future.
So like 15 or 20 per class.
Yes, so we usually start, and I know this is one of the questions we wanted to speak of, but the usually we have about 250 apply. We usually accept around 100 through that initial pre-screening process that has to happen by November 1st for the best scholarship offers. That's a hot tip. Get it all done by November 1st. They can choose one of three in-person audition dates once they're passed through the pre-screening process. Usually about 100 make it to that place. And then in a normal year, we accept about 36, and that yields a class of 18 to 20, as you mentioned, Jenny. This past year, we admitted somewhere closer to 28
Do you
students.
guys do your admission on a rolling basis?
Yes, we We begin in that January phase of looking at dancers, and it's always been in the past, like if we like somebody, we take somebody, and that's always just naturally yielded the correct number. It was only this last spring where we kind of held some off, and waited until we had a final decision on our number, because we were trying to, I feel like if you have too many majors, you can't learn everyone's story. And if you can't learn everyone's story and know what people need to work on, it becomes an impersonal experience. And here we're very much about that student teacher ratio, the ability for us all to help everyone be nurtured and become their best self. So, really needing to have the appropriate number for our studios and our faculty is really important to us.
So, can I ask you something? Just peel back a little bit about what you talked about before with the two different majors. What's the difference between the Bachelor of Science under in music with a ballet concentration and a BFA? Like, is it like a completely separate like program track that people would choose, or then why isn't everyone just
It
under that
is. Well,
umbrella?
yes and no. So they take all of the same ballet courses. The heart of the degree in ballet is the same. And right now, it's currently, just to clarify, is a BS in ballet or a BSOF, which is a Bachelor's of Science with an outside field. Those dancers all take the same core ballet courses. They take their 5 or 6 credit hours of our ballet major that happens from 11:15 to 5:45 every day. They're all in the same class together. They take the same ballet pedagogy requirements, the same conditioning for the ballet body, ballet history, anatomy, all of those great things are all blended together. And those are all the same core content. It's just the ballet BSOF has 27 credits in an external field of their choice through Indiana University. And the Ballet Bachelor's of Science track has music courses, additional physical education courses that are part of more of elective content, where they are fueling the musical element of their degree and the study of their physical selves, but it doesn't have to do with a concentrated academic area, if that makes sense. But all of the like ballet elements, they're all together, they're all unified, they're all in one space. It's like a one big happy family of ballet study. It's just then you choose how that branch is. And as I mentioned before, historically, the ballet only branch, we've had some amazing stories of dancers, here really to get their degree. A dancer who performed professionally for um, 8 years prior to coming to this school. She owns a shop on the square here in Bloomington, and she became a ballet major. She was not just, but she was a ballet Bachelor's of Science major. And then we have dancers a lot of the times who choose the ballet only track to pair with a second degree from the Kelley School of Business because of the way the class times and flexibility fits together, which is why we need to preserve that track for the future. Because otherwise, we could just say, let's get rid of that track. The majority of people do the BSOF. Let's just keep that. But we want to make the track for the ballet only educated dancer here, with the understanding that's a science, it's a study, it's a practice that really deserves a credential, in mind as we plan for the future.
It sounds like, from the perspective of a student, like Jenny and I both just had kids graduate from college in May. And so, you heard single major, double major, triple major. Like, to simplify it right down, it's basically, if I understand you correctly, you're either majoring in ballet or you're double majoring in ballet and something else. Like, it's that
Yes,
simple.
exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
So for the people who are single majoring in ballet, like, I'm hearing all this, like, nothing's changing. Why is everyone freaking out? Like, why
So,
are all these parents like, oh my God, everything's changing?
well, we're in a little bit of a situation where news comes from a lot of different sources,
Mhm.
and headlines that read. There were a couple of different articles out of Indianapolis that read Indiana University cuts and eliminates something like 200 plus programs and degree tracks. And in that list, where if you click the list, our ballet Bachelors of Science degree is in there. But if you read further to the second column, it says, um, teach out to graduation, degree will be merged with another program. Um, in the descriptor. But a lot of people encapsulate, they feel fear, they encapsulate that knowledge. It's a human instinct, and then you shout it from the rooftops, like what you've dissected from the information you've received. And it's just like human instinct. It's just now we have a platform here, there, and everywhere where shouting from the rooftop is news to a lot of people. So I think what happened was, and people were outraged, thinking that we were, which is a compliment. It's very high praise when people get outraged that you would be eliminated. Um, the that is where it's coming from, is the idea that we were on a list of degrees undergoing scrutiny and change, um, and we are being changed, but it's only one of two degrees, which is the missing context clue. Like, it's one of two degrees. It's, 3 students of 18 students impacted. Not to say those 3 students aren't important, but we need to provide for those students. So our administration at the Jacob School of Music is looking how to do that in the
So,
future.
is it fair to say that you will no longer be able to single major in ballet and that students will have to pick up a second major?
No, that is not
Okay.
fair to say
So
at all.
how will that work?
So this is the part of the conversation where we're still finalizing. We're still finalizing the plan with all of the constituencies involved who have not yet had a chance to weigh in and plan the process. So it's not something happening to groups of people, but it's happening because and with groups of people. But the tentative plan of attack is to make dance a heavier presence at the Jacob School of Music and move potentially, once proper processes are undergone, another strong program to merge with our program at the Jacob School of Music, essentially taking two strong entities that, for whatever reason, are both dance and were at two different schools of this university, and move them into one school.
So
That is the hope.
would the name of the major change potentially? And I know nothing's finalized, but like we've talked to some other schools where you actually major in dance with a concentration in ballet or a concentration in modern. Is that kind of the thinking
It would be kind of,
to keep everybody, to kind of insulate the students and allow them to continue with just a single major in dance, but it becomes a dance major with a concentration in ballet or a concentration in something else?
I think that is more the route that this will end up taking, where it is, as I mentioned, this lovely word umbrella that we throw around a lot, but finding the umbrella that shields and protects these wonderfully strong programs and degrees, in one location is the hope. And it really is an exciting change. Like this, I am, if this could happen, if all parties are willing and involved, and this ends up being, it ends up being the change that moves forward. It's going to be wonderful to not have contemporary dance students reaching out to me at the Jacob School of Music and me saying, "Oh, you've got to contact them across the river, at contemporary dance at a different school." It will be
Can
really
you
great.
explain how that works? Because I like
Yeah.
Jenny and I didn't even realize that contemporary dance is in a completely separate college.
Yeah. So really the way that classical ballet formed, in France, we really were born out of the opera program that existed here at the Jacob School of Music. So the Jacob School of Music opera program, that was started, I believe, in the 1960s or something like that, even further back than that. I'm going to get in such trouble for not knowing the specific history of the opera program. I'll figure it out. But the opera program that's existed for so long, here at Jacobs, the ballet department ended up being formulated to support that and then grew into this incredibly strong entity, thanks to people like Jean-Pierre Bonnefou and Patricia McBride being here, Violette Verdi being here, all these amazing individuals that really set this program apart as a classical ballet entity. And that's what we want to preserve. And that's what our dean is so proud of, is this aspect of our program where you can put your pointe shoes on at 11:15 in the morning and you can take them off at 5:45 and you're wearing them all day, and it's a concentrated period of time where you can really study classical ballet and what ballet is today on our stages, which is contemporary ballets and classical ballets and all of these great things. We want to preserve that. So that is our program. And contemporary dance as a program started actually, I believe, even in the School of Public Health as a kinesiology degree. I can't actually speak to their history because I haven't been involved with their program. Perhaps we can have them on at some point, their leader and director on to speak of the program. But they were born sort of at a different school entirely through the study of the human body and its movement. And then that got reshaped into their BFA degree, which exists with musical theater and theater over at the College of Arts and Sciences. So, in the way ballet was kind of born out of this music degree, they were sort of born out of the physical sciences aspect of that area and then moved to musical and musical theater and theater. And so we have existed in two separate locations. And that's where, the hope for the future would be maybe there's a way to enhance dance by unifying it all under one location.
So do you know approximately what that time frame looks like before you'll have a clear understanding about what that second degree will be, like that BFA in dance? Or is there a timeline that you are working towards?
Yeah, ideally, I mean, this is the summer and faculty only really get compensated during the year. So it's like a 10-month employment. So that's where these finalized decisions about what this looks like, whether or not it's happening, all of these great things, hopes and dreams can be realized and finalized as the fall semester happens. We definitely want to be able to, and our communications department will let everyone know once the good and exciting word is finalized. It'll go out in news releases, hopefully through dance media. Emails to our wonderful families and current students who, as I mentioned, are not being impacted directly by the changes, but will be a part of the wonderful future. And then it'll go out in social media posts and those kind of things. But the hope is that, the admissions, the students being admitted, bigger pardon, in fall 26, we want to get all that information to them as soon as possible. We have time. That's the glorious thing about this, is like, it's not like we have to have this future ironed out by August 26th. Like, we get the opportunity to spend a year getting to know everyone, all of the different players in this future umbrella degree, and making sure that it's really like the strongest offering for the future. It's exciting. It is an exciting build. It's always like hard when somebody creates a pathway that maybe you didn't see yourself for something to happen. That can sometimes come with feelings of, well, I didn't make this decision, but like, this is a decision we would make anyway, given the time. So it's really exciting to plan for the future. So I would say definitely everything finalized, for go time, fall 2026. But the hope is that as we start to discuss things, because the general idea is to move each successful program, as its entity exists under one umbrella, like, it should be a relatively seamless process, assuming that everything goes through and everyone feels happy and comfortable with the change.
So
And
for
there
the
are backup plans. I just wanted to say too that there are backup plans in case, if there isn't a merger in the future, there will be a worked for preservation of these wonderful programs.
So what does the deadline look like for the state? What does that pressure look like for Indiana University to come up with?
It's just fall 2026.
Okay.
That's their deadline. It's right there in that article, the click link to the listing where it lists the Bachelor's of Science in Ballet. It's fall 2026, 27 with graduate out for anyone enrolled prior.
So you're
So,
saying that any changes would be for students entering the university in the fall of 2026. So a year
exactly.
from now. Okay,
Yes.
so is the thinking, and maybe I'm putting words in your mouth, but like, why wouldn't you just have anything that involves the performing arts all in one college? Like musical theater, contemporary dance, ballet, music, opera,
Yeah.
all of it. Like if you are performing for an audience, why that makes sense to consolidate all of that. Is that kind of what the thinking is?
Yeah, I think, well, I don't know. I mean, I can't really speak to the future, but I think you're speaking to the heart of, I mean, our dean here at Jacobs, really loves that aspect of compelling audiences with music, with all that we have to offer as artists. I don't know what the future holds, but I mean, I think you're speaking right to like logic with
Right.
your
But
with
the thinking is that, so from what I understand, and I know it's not all finalized, but the thinking is at the very least, contemporary dance would move, it would be combined with ballet in one college department, whatever you want to call it, right? And then, but in terms of like the impact on students, it sounds to me like there's no impact on students in terms of coursework or any of that, because of the combining of these programs to allow for a single major in a dance, in some concentration on dance, correct?
exactly right. Yeah. I wish you
Okay.
could write that and I'll email it to a bunch of people. Exactly. That's
Okay.
the hope for that no, that is the hope for the future. As I said and have said and will say, like it's not nothing is ratified by the major players yet, meaning the wonderful faculty that are involved in contemporary dance, the wonderful individuals that are a part of this greater mission. We want to make sure like everybody is having their summer vacations right now, but so making sure that everyone gets a chance to build the future together is really really important. But you've said it exactly what it would look like in as we have hopes and dreams of it being.
Yeah, I think that's really important too, to reiterate the fact that
Come closer.
all of the staff is on vacation,
Yeah,
and no one is in their offices making decisions other than like the department heads. Is that true?
I really appreciate you saying that. Yes, that was the I was at the beach, and I love what I do. And so I like saturate myself in studio time and until like the last week in June, the first week in July, which is like sacred mom is with us time. And I was like, what is happening on my iPhone? Like for a large portion of last week, but I'm like I said, like I'm not mad about like if your program, if this podcast were to go away and no one said anything, how much would that hurt your feelings? Like ours is just our program. I'm getting verklempt, but like we were even, uh, hinted at going away or not hinted at. We were like encapsulated headline as going away, and the number of people that reached out to me like this can't happen, we want to help, was just breathtaking. So everyone I wrote to I feel thankful for, and I feel badly for all the families actually that were in any kind of fear, my current students families that were in any kind of fear. It's always hard to get around a headline that makes us feel something incredible. It's hard to change that passion, but you don't need pitchforks for this department yet. I'll let you know when that happens for sure. But
So
And
I
fear.
have a question. Yeah,
Oh,
I mean, I think there's a lot of people like, and that's, I'm glad you were able to kind of quell the fear, because there were a lot of people who were like, "Oh my God, the Indiana ballet program's getting eliminated. What are we going to do?" But I do have a question, or this is actually a question from a listener. So we just put the word out like, "Hey, we're talking to Sarah Roth. We want to get the real story," and then we just got flooded with questions. And one I thought was really interesting. They were asking what percentage, and I went to a state school, so I know the whole like in-state, out-of-state thing. What percentage of current ballet majors are Indiana residents, and will any changes be made to admit more Indiana residents to the program?
No, this is application, I believe, processes have been altered in some way for Indiana residents, allowing them um I don't even know the details on that, but nothing in our admissions is changing. We are still do we enjoy your dancing? Is our process of selecting students. So no, the very short, very easy, truthful answer is absolutely nothing is changing with regard to Indiana residents versus out of state residents. I actually don't know the concrete number of our dancers that are Indiana residents. I couldn't tell you. I think it's somewhere in the neighborhood of 20% or
Mm-hmm.
fewer, just because there are some really great schools in Indiana for training, but it's really you show up, you dance with passion and joy. Do you take class like you enjoy taking class? Okay, let's work together. And it will always be that for us. Really, pedigree is not the story here. No matter what, it's how do you do in the audition, which is very much like it is in the professional world.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we're going to continue to dive into our listener questions because we got so
Yeah,
many.
sure.
So, what is the current number of ballet professors for the 2025-26 year, and how will that change, especially if you merge with the contemporary dance program? Will there be overlapping professors that could possibly lose their positions?
No, the answer is no. There's no change planned for the future at all to our numbers. We have the same professors for next year that we do currently. We have six sort of core teachers for our ballet majors and two additional lecturers who help out. One lecturer position was visiting anyway, and we extended her 1 year, and she'll be with us 1 year more. There's no change. As I mentioned before, like we are a successful entity. We are not going anywhere. We are not undergoing changes. We're just going to keep on keeping on doing what we do. So, yeah, that's the answer.
Do you want me to take the next part? Or
Yeah,
no? Oh,
go
okay.
ahead.
Um, has the state of Indiana? Oh, nope, I asked that one. Sorry. Oh no. Oh, sorry. This is the taxpayer one. Hold on.
Mm-hmm.
Has the state of Indiana indicated they require state funded schools to admit more state residents to benefit Indiana taxpayers?
Um, I had to ask about this one, and no, there are new requirements about accepting applications from Indiana residents, which is what I tried to mention accurately earlier. So there are new requirements about accepting applications to Indiana University as an entity, but not to admitting students in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting because honestly, the ballet program is pretty small. And I know, so I went to the University of Wisconsin at Madison, and when I was there, it was, 85% in state, 15% out of state. Like that was just, those were the numbers. And it was the getting in from out of state was harder than getting in from state just because of that. And that was always kind of the standard for the Big Ten public universities. But I would think like it wouldn't affect you guys as much because the number of people applying to the engineering school versus the business school versus ballet, like you probably have a lot more latitude than like, the engineering school does.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
So, go ahead,
go
Brett.
ahead. No, 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 go ahead.
In the last 5 years, how many Jacobs Academy ballet students auditioned for the ballet major and how many were accepted?
Yeah, in the past 4 years, Jacobs Academy, for just for anyone doesn't know, it's a pre-college program for dancers in the local community of Bloomington. We've had 4 applicants in the past 5 years, and 1 has been admitted to the program. It's really just a part of that, like we look for what's best for the dancer. Sometimes being with us isn't what's best for the dancer. We have those conversations on an individual basis. We have a really high standard as a program, and we just want to work with everyone to find them their best self. And yeah, and that's where we are.
Can you talk about what Jacobs Academy, like, is it just a ballet school for kids before
It's
college?
just a local community ballet school that uses our studios after. I teach for those classes once a week. We try and do a little bit of a faculty rotation in offering those students the opportunity to work with us. They're in all of our productions that involve children. They were in Phil Chon and Doug Fullington's Star on the Rise by Adair, and they were also in our Nutcracker every year. It it's a really wonderful program. We have 2 new directors of that program, Rebecca Janes and Robin Allen, and they took over as full directors this past year. So it's undergone curricular changes and in an attempt to really unify the work that they're doing and really make sure it offers a vocational training for students, but also pre-professional opportunities where those dancers need that guidance. But so that's what it is. It's largely Bloomington community and around Indiana
Mhm.
students, and we try and provide them with all the joy and passion that we feel in dance. And I think the opportunity to teach that population is a really important aspect of our program. Many of our majors teach for the Jacobs Academy program, and it offers them sometimes their first teaching opportunity. Sometimes, as it was with me when I was a student here, the opportunity to really realize how much you love teaching, how much you love that connection with students, and building that important ballet relationship that guides mentor and mentee within the studio.
Sure.
About how many students do you guys service doing the Ballet Academy?
We would need to consult the directors for the exact number. I believe there are about 150 in their end of year performance this past spring. And that incorporated students from the age of 3 all the way to the age of 18. So it's a program for creative ballet and intro to ballet and really get students dancing for the first time.
Oh, that's really nice. That's nice
Yeah,
community
it's really
outreach too.
Oh, it's wonderful. It's really wonderful. And like I said, seeing the majors sort of remember their beginnings is a really important part. You always learn more when you teach. That's true in any subject, in any field. If you can explain it to someone else, you digest that information in such a more important way. And for me as a dancer, I graduated from here. I had taught not only for the pre-college ballet program that's now called the Jacobs Academy Ballet Program, but I had taught classes for our elective program students who are enrolled adults through the university. And I went to Boston Ballet, and the first thing I did when I realized how much time I had on my hands as a professional dancer was say I would love the opportunity to teach for the school. And Miko Nisanen said, yeah, just check in with, offer your services to the principal. So I think that identity that we get the opportunity to give every dancer, because most dancers at some point in time in their career are going to be asked to teach a class, even if it's just like this group of donors needs a class to have fun and feel what it feels like to be a ballerina for an evening. We'll have the opportunity to teach class at some point.
Okay, so let's keep going with our listener questions. The next one is, what percentage of ballet majors receive paying contracts right after graduation?
Great. I love this question. I always get this question at every audition Friday, we have a little post audition Q&A, and I usually have dancers answer questions, but I usually get this question from the group. And I mean, the honest and forthright answer is it varies year to year because every year is a different playing field of opportunity for graduates. Every group is different. Every individual is different in their work ethic and the time they spend on their reels and what the work is they put in. This past graduating class was 16. 2 dancers got unpaid contracts. We had 75% get paid positions upon graduating. Six of those positions were full company contracts. The
That's
rest were,
fantastic.
yeah, yeah, the numbers were, I mean, really good. That doesn't mean next year will be those numbers. And that's why it gets a little harrowing. But we do a lot of work with them on preparing their reels, on coaching them in the process. This past year, we invited 5 artistic directors to teach class here, which I think really helped. It not only helped, you can get lost in Bloomington, Indiana, believe it or not, and people don't actually know what happens here. I had a friend come teach this past spring in May who came in and he looked at the studios and he was like, "This is it? It's 3 studios, and this is where all the magic happens." Like, I don't know what I thought it was, but I thought it, you know what I mean? And it was really touching because we do so much here. And yeah, every year won't look like this, but we do a lot to try and make sure these students are exposed and these students really work on themselves to be their best self so that when they go and get an audition or a job and they go and they're in front of someone, they know who they are and they know what they want to share.
That's pretty fantastic, though. 75% is I mean, that's, there aren't a lot of schools that can say that.
I know.
College or, pre-pro training. That's pretty darn good. So somebody else asked, what about the percentage of contemporary students receiving paying contracts right after
I just,
graduation?
I don't have any of that information because I'm
Okay.
not an expert on that program.
Sure, that's totally fair. And then this is another one about the contemporary program. How will the contemporary minor be impacted, and will it still exist if it's under Jacobs
I
going
don't
forward?
have that. I don't have that
Okay.
information because it's all still hypothetical. But
Okay.
all I can say is the hope is that everything, or the plan, or the, I don't know which word is the most concrete, least concrete word I can use to describe it, is that everything maintains the goodness that it has built if this merger goes through to its
So
completion.
one thing that somebody asked, and I maybe just didn't realize this, is it saying, will it still be non-audition for the contemporary program? Is the contemporary program a non-audition program?
I don't know. I would say I think that they have an audition, but I am, again, I don't want to speak to things that I don't know because that's
Okay.
not,
Oh, it says
nobody
it.
good at that.
It says it's the minor though, so maybe it's like if you do a minor, it's non-audition.
Maybe. Oh yeah, maybe.
They have a minor in dance currently. They have a dance minor that they've provided for through a myriad of elective courses. A lot have taken ballet courses. There's actually a tremendous amount of crossover already. One of our beloved faculty members, Christian Classens, already teaches ballet to the contemporary dance majors. I would imagine everything will be preserved and it's in the entity of success that it is, but I don't know. So I don't want to say.
And I'll just blanket with this. I know it is still early days. I know you haven't voted yet, but will the physical studio space change for the ballet program if the contemporary is merged into a combined degree?
No, if it is merged into a combined degree, the hope through all conversations is that resources maintain themselves, which is budget, which is spaces, which is performance venues, which is studio space. Where we can share, we will, but where we have, we will keep. Are all the, because resources is what we fear most in the arts. Like, encroachment on resources is like the perilous factor, and I think everybody knows that. So in these conversations, that's where we've been, and that's with the, I think that's with every entity on campus. Anywhere anyone looks to merge, it's a conversation about resources. So that hasn't happened yet, but they know that we are in a space where we're even looking to have more resources for ballet. So that is not a part of the conversation.
Okay, one more question about contemporary because I
Yeah.
think people are very concerned
Yeah.
about
No,
this. Under a merger, will ballet students be required to audition against contemporary students for roles in ballet productions?
That I can speak to, that we are not merging, ballet is not merging its program with any other program. Like our program, our curriculum, our dancers, our ballets are maintaining themselves for the protection of and best benefits to our dancers. So that's not a part of future planning.
Do contemporary majors ever end up in productions that you guys stage out, quote, out of the ballet department?
We did this amazing collaboration pre-pandemic, so it was like 42 years ago, where we did Deuce Coupe by Twyla Tharp. I don't know if you've ever known
Yeah.
that ballet, but it's to all Beach Boys music.
Mhm.
It's an incredible feat that ABT ended up doing the year after we did it. And so our majors, as they were resurrecting this piece from this footage that was blurry, and we were trying to put together, oh, what's that dancer doing? It was the first time it had been revitalized, and it has contemporary dancers because at the time it was Twyla Tharp's company built on, I believe it was Joffrey Ballet. So it was like ballet dancers and contemporary dancers unified together on one stage to the Beach Boys music. I was actually just thinking of it the other night because I heard Surfin' USA, and it's this amazing section where the contemporary dancers, she just has them run and slide like they're surfing across the stage the whole time. It's cemented in my brain. But we did that, and that was on the Max stage, and then we performed also at their venue over at the College of Arts and Sciences, which was incredible as well. So it gave more opportunity to everyone to perform twice, and that was awesome to have everyone in the studio together, kind of appreciating each other for the differences in movement quality and the different sensibilities that we all have. That was really, really fun. So we have done it in the past in that way. I had a contemporary dancer who joined me for a performance this past May, just because of a credit issue that they needed help with, and I was willing to open up sort of our ensemble to help them out. Yeah, but it's not something that's crazy or could never happen in the
Right.
future.
But
But it was with kind of the integrity of both programs showing how wonderful they are at once, which
sure,
was cool.
I think there might be a little bit of a fear from maybe from the parents of future ballet students that the competition might get even stiffer than it already is. But it sounds like that it's
No.
kind of like, I don't want to say the exception to the rule, but it's kind of the exception to the rule.
Yeah, the that's absolutely the exception to the rule. And the thing is contemporary ballet, contemporary movement is something every ballet dancer needs. So if I was to say that we would open up our contemporary works to allowing contemporary dancers to take those works from ballet dancers that need to move in that way, it would be like throwing out a textbook that I
Mm-hmm.
desperately needed for our students to study. So that again, that's where the curriculums have to maintain their integrity if any kind of a merge is to happen. And it's a way where we can learn from each other in the best ways possible. Ballet dancers are terrified of improvisation because we like to be told what to do, like with specificity. I think that's a course that they offer that I would love for our dancers to dip into. So there's ways that we can learn from each other if it is a combination that happens in the future. I think either way, there's so many ways that we can learn from each other.
Will funding be affected for ballet only performances? With
Not
the
at all.
with,
Sorry to be so fast. I
no,
interrupted you.
come
Not
at
at
it.
all. No,
Just
no.
we're
Restore.
dispelling myths here, Sarah. So
No,
I love the emphatic. Absolutely not.
no, absolutely not. That is not a part of the. That's not a part of any conversation. As I mentioned, it's administrative. It's curricular in the sense of curricular organization, not content, not planning, and not restrictions on content.
And not for admissions.
No, no.
So if contemporary moves into Jacobs, would I assume the leadership would come with it and that it would be run as its own? It's
Yeah, no
essentially a
matter
physical move more than anything else.
yeah, no matter what, it's not going to be like me pretending like I understand them, and it's not going to be them pretending like they understand me, and it's not going to be any other entity that would come along for the ride. Like this, I think the beauty of higher education are these individuals, these artists that have studied their craft, that bring knowledge, that bring research. Like when you're looking across the university, these individuals that have their passion in the subject matter they're teaching, having those individuals at the helm of their own decision making is really, really crucial to curriculums being effective. And that's all we want to be is do the best for our students, make the best choices for our students to be successful, and that's true no matter what, on into the future.
So, as we're wrapping up this conversation, I just want to maybe calm a whole lot of nerves for all of those listeners out there who are interested in applying to Indiana, whose kids are coming to Indiana. How will future changes be communicated to incoming students as plans are finalized?
This is great, and this is where the fear comes from. Actually, my beloved mentor Gwyn Richards, who got me this job as the chair here at the Jacob School of Music, or he was part of a group that got me this job, probably including myself. Maybe I could give myself some credit. Was he said the absence of clear communication. I think I've said this on the podcast before, so I'm not revealing anything new.
Sarah, I use this quote all the time. In fact, I say Sarah Wroth says the absence of communication becomes the narrative. I say it all the time now. I want to put it on a shirt. It is fantastic.
Oh, make a shirt. Make a Ballet Help Us shirt. The absence of clear communication creates a narrative, and that narrative is never positive. And I think that's exactly what we have here, right? We had a headline. We had a moment for ballet at Jacobs that looked perilous and terrifying for students who have looked to us as a light for their future. In the future, all these changes, if this goes through, if everything that I've talked about becomes realized, the news will be clear. It will come from our Jacobs School of Music Communications office. It will hopefully come through some dance media, dance news entity. It will be broadcast on social media via our channels at IUJSOM and at IU Jacobs Ballet. We will make sure that communication is clear to our families, to any students applying. It will appear in admissions materials and in admissions communication. It will be clearly communicated from us. And I think that's the best possible way to source your panic from the direct source. Don't source your panic from secondary sources as much as possible. And if you need anything, if you have questions, feel free to reach out to me. Feel free to email me. It's swroth@iu.edu. And I'm happy to be, explain whatever I can. Again, I can't answer questions on final details where faculty haven't been consulted and proper processes haven't gone through, because we're in the glorious summer of the university. But once things are finalized, this is going to be an exciting piece of news from this school. So we will share as we can.
But ballet at Indiana University is not going anywhere.
Ballet at Indiana University is not going anywhere. Yes.
I think that's a great place to leave it. Sarah, is there anything else that you wanted to talk about that we have not covered here? Any information that you feel like we didn't touch on that you wanted to share with our listeners?
No, I think you crushed it. Just that we will always be a place where knowledge and dance can blend. What makes us so strong is we don't exist everywhere. We're not at every university a program that focuses on classical ballet training for the future. We will always be here trying to find those jobs in the classical ballet field for our dancers. Thank you so much for having me. I truly respect this podcast, and I was so thrilled when you invited me on. Thank you.
Thank you so much for taking your time out of your really busy summer and beach time with the kids, and we very much appreciate it. And so thank you so much for joining us today.
No problem. Thank you.
Okay, I'll turn off the recording.